Guys, now let's get into powers. Hawkman and Angel, their biggest, most obvious similarities and powers that they have are winged flight. Now, both of these characters have an impressive wingspan, which is just beautiful to behold, and the way that they've typically been drawn has always been awe-inspiring. But their wings both serve different purposes, and Angel kind of has two different purposes for his wings. Now, Hawkman's wings are technically a part of his equipment, his flight. All has to do with the wings and the nth metal. So we're going to get into that now, even though it's kind of breaking the rules a little bit, but it's necessary, and I think you'll understand why in a moment. Now, Carter has nth metal all around his belt and his boots. So this gives him the ability to defy gravity completely and entirely, and again, be able to lift up to 20 times his weight while he's in contact with the nth metal. Now, again, around his boots and around his belt like that, he's probably not going to lose that anytime soon. Even in combat, it's never actually been a factor where it's been taken from him in combat. So I'm not worried about that happening. But the fact is that he's able to lift and fly and do all sorts of crazy things. Now, to give you an idea of the flight capabilities of nth metal, the Legion of Superheroes in the far-flung future that Superman sometimes joins up with, they've all got those rings that allow them to fly. That's made out of a hybrid alloy of nth metal, and their flight is perfectly functional all by itself. But aside from the proper nth metal, he's also got these really powerful wings. Now again, he can fly without the wings, but the wings just give him an incredible added ability. And unlike what many people think, there are no cybernetic controls for his wings in his helmet. He can fly perfectly fine without the helmet. It's something different. It's something Thanagarian that allow him to fly just by thought with his wings, giving that extra acceleration. Now, Hawkman is able to attain speeds of 225 miles per hour standard, almost resting, exerting zero energy. Sorry, for my non-American friends, we're talking about 362 kilometers per hour. This is very impressive flight speeds. Mind you, this is unhindered or carrying up to 20 times his own strength. He's able to maintain that flight speed for an essentially infinite amount of time. He could technically fall asleep while flying at that speed. It wouldn't be an issue. Now, he's able to increase that to amazing abilities, and we would say that it would go up to about skill level. Right now it's at 20 resting, but it would be about 100, maybe even 150. So we're talking about superhuman levels of flight. Yeah, like humans can naturally fly anyway. So Shift X would be about Mach 1. So this actually takes a lot of energy, a lot of power, and it can drain him physically. Maintaining that speed for any longer than a minute, 10 minutes, go figure. He'll recover quickly, but it's the idea that it will still tax him just a bit. Now, Angel also has wings, and with his flighty, white-plumed wings, he's able to attain level 30. That's a remarkable 30 speeds. Now, again, that's just resting. He can and actually has slept while flying at that speed. Just natural instinct for catching thermals and continuing his flight path. However, he can also increase his speeds. With his regular white-plumed wings, he's been able to reach 100 levels of speed. This is quick. This is subsonic. It's not Mach speed. Mind you, that would be about the sound barrier, right? Well, he's sub-sound barrier. So you figure about 700 miles per hour, 650 to 700 miles per hour. Not quite the Mach 1 speeds. However, as the Angel of Death, as Archangel, with those metal wings, he is actually past the Blackbird fairly easy when he pushes to the extreme. The Blackbird is capable of Mach 4.2. So passing the Blackbird, even though it's only happened the once in the comics that I recall, it still happened, and that's pretty darn impressive. So speed, without a doubt, goes to Angel. And especially in his Archangel form, even his resting speed increases to about 40, which means that this guy is just booking to unbelievable speeds. So he's going anywhere from 375 to 500 miles per hour, and in kilometers it would be, what, 600 plus kilometers per hour. So yeah, speed definitely goes to him. Couple that with his agility, you kind of see where I'm going with this, right? But wait, there's more. I've got to finish this out with the powers scenario here, because they both have the ability of enhanced eyesight. All right, Hawkman's is pretty good. We're going to give him a 20, and we're going to give Angel a 75. Yeah, nobody in the Marvel Universe sees the way that Angel sees. He could quite literally tell you the date on a dime from outside of the Earth's atmosphere if he chose to. He's that good. And also, Hawkman has the ability to commune with birds, any avian. He usually chooses hawks, but it could technically be any bird that he wants to. So that'd kind of make him like in the falcon level of powers. But that almost never comes into play. But for Angel, we have to keep on going with his flight, because Angel's mutant ability is not just his wings, but the fact that his body is actually tailor-made, custom, for flight. Everything about him revolves around flight. Angel actually has what's called aerial adaptation. His bones are hollowed, similar to the way that a bird's would be. They're not actually hollow, but they're hollowed in the sense that there's less bone density and more muscle density. So while it's not going to be a lot of mass making him much bigger, he does look like a regular normal old human. The fact is that you could bounce a quarter off his pecs. He's actually that strong. Helps out with his biggest weakness, which is the ladies. But yeah, 100% built for flight. Aside from the hollowed out bones, aside from the massively increased muscular density, he's also got minimal body fat. There is essentially nothing wasted on this guy. Nothing. He's able to fall from incredible heights without getting hurt. Now that's different from being punched or kicked. I mean, you know, you could kick a bird and the thing would probably die, but don't kick birds. But the idea is that falling, he's built for it. He's okay. I fell. Oops. He could probably fall off a 10-story building without hardly batting a feather. Now, more than that, he's actually come to the capability through further mutations of having essentially angelic blood. He regenerates now. He's actually able to heal to the point where you could take, I'd say, a slug from a standard gun, anything smaller than a Desert Eagle or a Magnum, and he'd be able to heal in just a couple of hours. And it actually is not just accelerated healing, but actual regeneration. His wings have regrown. We can assume that maybe a hand or other appendage could also regrow. I don't know that he's going to regrow necessarily an eye, but he does have regenerative capabilities, much like a lizard would. He's not nearly quite what Wolverine is. I mean, for crying out loud, he'd probably be a tenth of what Wolverine is. But hey, I'd take that over nothing. Carter Hall actually also has regeneration, but he's about 3 times what a normal human being would be. So around what Captain America would be, around what an Inhuman would be. Carter Hall can take an arrow in the chest, rip the sucker out, and still keep walking around. And inside of a half an hour, maybe, he would already develop scar tissue. It's fast. And although everything that I've ever seen written about him claims that he has regeneration, I've never actually seen him demonstrate the ability of regeneration. I have mostly only seen accelerated healing, which is different. So he's got scar tissue all over his body. I mean, he's always got the bare, hairy chest, but looking closer in the comics, they've always shown that he's got scars all over. But now, once again, back to Angel. His blood is more than just self-regenerating. He is one of the few characters in all of comics who's actually capable of healing others. Yeah, you'll see all the time where somebody can heal themselves, but actually healing others, few and far between. Angel is able to cut himself and share his blood with someone, just pouring it on a fresh wound and healing others. In fact, it's so good, he's actually been seen to resurrect someone from death. As long as they died within the hour, there's enough of their life force left that they could actually come back from death. How that's going to help him in this particular combat, I'm not sure, but just the emphasis. He's got a pretty cool healing factor. Now, while this is also probably classified as equipment or weapons more than anything else, it is still an actual part of Angel that can't be separated from him. When he hulks out, or Archangels out, he goes back to a form of the Horseman of Death, aka Apocalypse, and things just go crazy. While his stats do not increase, it certainly seems like it, because he goes into this battle frenzy that just, he can go toe-to-toe with Wolverine. Now, he's always had a problem with Wolverine. I mean, ever since the two met in the very early years of the 1970s, these two have always butted heads, but Angel never really stood a chance, like a snowball's chance in hell, of actually beating Wolverine. But once he became Archangel, yeah, the shoe was on the other foot at this point. They became equals in pretty much every way, shape, and form. The biggest thing about it is the metal wings, and he is now able to move the wings in such a way that he's able to launch several of his feathers with every single turn and tuft and twist. And these metal-tipped wings, by any sense of the imagination, could easily shred a normal human being in half. Just cleaved. They can penetrate solid metals, they can cut stone. Extremely powerful. Now let's take it to the next level. They also have a paralytic poison on them. Yeah, that's right. So not only do you get hit by these things, but if you don't die immediately from being shredded by these things, they've got a paralytic poison on them, which will decrease your energy. It will increase your fatigue poisons. Every so often, they've also shown Angel to have this hypersonic scream, where he's able to scream in a way that causes his enemies or anybody in the direct path to actually have like internal hemorrhaging and to be disoriented beyond belief, to actually cause people to fall out of the sky. Where's that going? Now, with his regular white fluffy wings, yeah, this guy, he's able to put his wings around him and protect himself from any buffeting by winds or even by punches. Maybe you've heard stories of little kids or even adults getting too close to a goose and taking it off, and then it starts charging after them and beating them with its wings and actually breaking human bones with those wings. Yeah, birds are strong. Bird wings are strong. Now, this is not necessarily going to protect him from being hurt, like by piercing weapons, but I would honestly say that even somebody like Spider-Man punching Angel when he's got his wings wrapped around him, Angel's not really going to feel it too much, and he's going to be able to fight back and fight back hard. When you add that him getting ticked off will allow him to have his metal wings, now you're talking something really scary. These metal wings will take anything that you throw at it. Quite literally, anything. I could see the Hulk, not like as mad as he's going to get, but you know what, let's just be fair and say like the Thing or the She-Hulk or somebody along that ilk punching Archangel while he's got his wings up, and yeah, he's going to be perfectly okay. He can land on the ground and he could cocoon himself and just not be hurt. Now, back to Hawkman. Yeah, remember him? I know, so many powers with Angel, you wind up forgetting that this is a versus battle. But we're going to start talking about the equipment now, because Archangel has a bit of equipment in the sense that when he knows he's getting into combat, he's got his combat suit that he's mostly used during his X-Factor days under the leadership of Wolverine. Protects him from heat, cold, as if he needs any more protection from cold, which is part of his natural avion ability. But it also protects him against electricity and a little bit against physical and energy attacks. But speaking more specifically now, that's all that he's got. He does have an ability with swords, which is uncanny. He was actually able to go toe-to-toe with the Silver Samurai once, and he never picked up a sword a day in his life. That's pretty darn impressive. However, he doesn't carry a sword on him, so, you know, there's that. Hawkman, on the other hand, is nothing but weapons. This guy is a human Bradley tank. He's, in fact, sometimes he's not even human. He's also kind of Thanagarian. Hawkman can also do the thing where he protects himself with his wings, and his wings aren't a part of him, they're part of a flight pack harness, so yeah, he's not going to get hurt if you punch him. He can cocoon himself also and take the exact same kind of damage that Archangel himself would take. The trick is that since it's not his wings that give him flight, they just add to it, he's able to do the cocoon thing while he's levitating in the air. He's not going to move very far, but he can do that. Now, in response to Archangel and being able to throw those feathers the way that he does, they've, in DC, shown that, well, Hawkman can do the same thing. He can pluck a feather and throw it, or he can turn it and throw quite a few feathers himself. Now, that only lasted for a while before people started crying foul and saying, "Ah, stop trying to make him like Archangel. He's his own character." And I agree. But I dig the idea of being able to pull off a quill and throw it. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is all a form of alien technology, similar to the nth metal, while not quite being nth metal. And he's, yeah, it's a lot stronger than a regular earthen steel, while still being able to give him his flight. He's also got weapons out the wazoo. In fact, I think the wazoo is one of his weapons. Like, if you had a picture of Hawkman wielding a kitchen sink and attacking somebody with it, not only would I believe it, but I would say he'd be the most skilled kitchen sink wielder on the face of the planet, because this is a guy who's just, if he's used it in a lifetime in the past, his mind remembers it, his muscles remember it, and that's crucial. Here's a guy, he just uses any weapon imaginable, and his typical arsenal of weapons includes a dagger at his side, a sword, his shield. Oh man, and we're talking alien metals, not metals that have actually come to Earth on their own, but Thanagarian metals, which are strong enough to take a punch by Superman and Wonder Woman and be dented, not shattered. So we're not talking about Captain America's shield or Uru, Thor, Mjolnir metals, but we are talking about very powerful metals, easily as strong as the metal used to make the Green Lantern rings. Maybe not quite as strong. Maybe not quite as strong. He's got an axe that will cleave a man in two by dropping it. Forget about actually swinging it. The guy's a powerhouse, and his weapons are built to suit. Now, anybody who's anybody and has even seen the DC Justice League cartoons knows that Hawk Woman, Hawk Girl, whatever incarnation you're going to refer to, has a mace. Well, they got that idea also from Carter Hall, who's got the biggest mace in the face of creation. That's right, if you play Dungeons & Dragons, buddy, this is the mace you want. It's got a huge, it looks like wood, but it's not actually wood. It's a foreign material, gigantic length stick with a giant, huge ball on the end made of nth metal, and it's dotted on top of that. So this is just... yeah, your average person is not even going to be able to lift this thing. Meanwhile, Hawkman randomly swings this thing around, points it, he could direct traffic with the darn thing. He's that adept with it. He's that strong with it. This is a hammer where he's taken planes out of the sky with a single swipe. He could hit Superman with it, and he could send Superman flying with this thing. That's how strong he's able to do this. Now, if Superman's prepared for it, we're not exactly talking about the same argument here, but we're going to get into how Superman and Hawkman went toe-to-toe and Hawkman won one of these days. The fact is that his main go-to weapon is that shield and that mace, which is just taking down anybody who he comes into contact with. Almost. His final weapon, which I don't think is going to come into play here, would be the Claw of Horus. This is actually how he was able to take down Superman. It is a claw made out of nth metal who derives its powers from the Earth's magnetic core. So, as he said to Superman before he knocked him unconscious in the middle of flight, trying to fly him up into non-breathable atmospheres, punched him and said, "You basically just got punched with the planet Earth." Again, I don't think that's going to come into play here. Hawkman rarely ever uses that thing. Now, nth metal by itself is an impressive thing, and in the Savage Hawkman comics, which have come out with the New 52, He's taken more of a Qatar Hall military police kind of attitude, and that's actually one of his incarnations. And the nth metal has actually become more alive. He tried to get rid of it, and much like a Venom symbiote or one of the other Spider-Man symbiotes, it's actually made it so that it will hide underneath his skin and only come out when he chooses to, when he goes into combat. So he's got full nth metal armor now. This makes him a force to be reckoned with like never before. Plus, he could form his weapons in a thought. And again, we're talking about his combat reflexes. Forget about it. This guy's forming his armor and a weapon and hitting you with it before you even finish the sentence. This means war. Nth metal, as we've already discussed, has anti-gravimetric abilities. More than that, it's actually able to increase your body temperature to prevent any kind of cold damage coming to you, like to the superhuman levels, more than like hurricane winds. He can take it. Even more than that, it's been shown to be able to resist magic. Dr. Fate has tossed magic at Hawkgirl before, and she's deflected it with her abilities, and she's able to beat up people who are possessed, and one hit with that mace, and people, bing, wake up, they're not possessed anymore. Yeah, obviously, Angel doesn't have magic, but anything where somebody might suggest that his new angelic powers might give him a magical edge is completely dispelled. That's the main reason why I'm even discussing this. It will have zero effect because the nth metal completely dispels any form of magic with its natural properties. Lastly, known is that nth metal is also able to heal you. So again, while it's not quite regenerative abilities, it is healing abilities, and he will heal easily 3 times faster than a human being, develop scar tissue within a matter of half an hour. He can survive gunshot wounds and continue battle. He is a tank, and his mode is more about hitting and getting hit and hitting back even harder. And finally, what they use their flight for. This is skills here, all right? The most important thing with skills, besides the fact that every single weapon you could possibly imagine or look up in a history book, even future ones, because, yeah, that's kind of, the alien technology. He's got the memory of alien technology also. Hawkman knows every single weapon, and he's mastered it. Things that you wouldn't even consider a weapon, like I mentioned, chains. He can use chains. Probably as good or even better than Ghost Rider. I mean, Ghost Rider just uses it as a magical means, but Hawkman uses it with actual skill. But while Angel is built for flight, Hawkman is built for beating the living snot out of people. Hawkman uses his flight more as a mode of transportation and a means to an end. Hawkman will use his flight and his wings as a battering ram to charge into opponents. He'll use it as a quick shield, or he'll use it as a way to bat somebody away, or buffet someone, or get out of the way for a strategic retreat so he can come back in from a flanked angle. Hawkman is all about combat. Every single thing that you can imagine about combat is represented in Hawkman. It's been stated by Batman that the greatest melee combatant in the DC universe is Wonder Woman, because she has lived a successive, continual lifespan since the dawn of ages, and she's just only trained on Themyscira with combat. But yeah, Batman isn't number 2. Number 2 would easily, without even a thought process involved, it would easily be Hawkman, because while it hasn't been successive continual lifespan, it has been multiple lifespans, having to deal with certain weaknesses in this body as opposed to that body, and overcoming them and becoming the ultimate combatant in every single one of his lifetimes, culminating in each current Hawkman. Angel, on the other hand, while he is a great combatant, an amazingly superb combatant, his main ability is in his flight. Again, his mutant power is not just his wings, but his whole body is adapted for flight. While both of them have forms of aerial combat, again, Hawkman is mostly about getting from point A to point B being where the combatant is, and beating the living hell out of point B. No, Angel, or Archangel, is more about just the flight, the beauty of flight. There is no way to outfly him. He is aerial combat incarnate. It's natural. It's like the difference between someone who trains really hard to do all the things that they want to do and they're awesome at it, and then someone else who just seems to be built for it. So now you have these two incredible combatants going up against each other, and this is where I come to my quick little scenario. I'm going to say that they're just in the sky, because why the heck wouldn't they be? Now, Angel is probably going to see Hawkman first, and he's going to recognize what's going on, and he's going to be ready. He's going to know, oh man, this guy, he's coming to beat me up, and, just suspension of disbelief, please. So I'm going to give him the first hit, and he's going to need it. He's going to fly in and do one of his typical flyby double punches, and he's going to hit Hawkman from behind. Just at the right moment, he's going to realize what's going on, because both of these guys are able to fly silently if they want, but not while they're actually trying to fly fast. So while Hawkman can use his anti-grav to just keep his wings outstretched and glide, Angel is able to outstretch his wings and use thermals all around and fly on those, glide on those. But when you're talking about actually beating your wings and flying faster, nah, you can hear that. Even with the wind up there, you can still hear something like that. So at the very last moment, Hawkman would probably realize, and he'd brace himself more than anything else, probably try and turn around and look. But yeah, Hawkman would get hit, and he would get hit pretty hard. But it's not going to take the guy down. Without missing a beat, Angel's going to keep going at him. He's going to keep trying to swing at him, hit him, buffet him, just all that crazy stuff. But Hawkman keeps that shield on him, and it's not going to be that hard to keep that shield up and reach down for that mace and just boom, 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 start going at it. Now, Angel, for his part, is going to try and block with his wings specifically, and it's going to be pretty darn effective. Again, if he can take a hit by Spider-Man or somebody probably even a little bit stronger, he can take a hit by Hawkman. Again, Hawkman at best is going to be able to exert about 4 tons of pressure per square inch. That's just with his fists. Probably a lot more. I'm squeamish to even think about how hard he can hit with that mace. But for certain, it's not going to be enough to do too much damage to all the muscles inside of Angel's wings. But after a while, it will start to hurt, and Angel will realize that, and he'll know that his combat effectiveness is in his ability to maintain flight. Therefore, he can't keep risking that. So I think that very quickly, all joking aside, he's going to switch over to Archangel mode. Now, while Hawkman would have had the upper hand for that first couple of moments, it's going to quickly switch sides as Archangel. He's going to be hitting, and he's going to be hitting hard, but he's going to have to be using his wings and trying to move back from a distance. Now, reminder again, Hawkman's wings are not naturally part of his body. They are separate. As well with his shield, I'm pretty sure that he could avoid the majority of all of those paralytic feathers that Angel's going to be throwing from a distance. Just in case any did get through, Hawkman's a tank, and Hawkman is built for combat and moving forward. And I'm certain that with his accelerated healing, he's going to be able to take several of those darts and be able to just rip them off, maybe even use them as makeshift weapons. And he's going to be able to keep going. He will feel the fatigue poisons attacking his system, and he knows that he'll be able to combat them, but not all of them. So he's going to try and avoid being hit by those and move in as close as he possibly can. He does usually have a distance weapon or two on him, like a spear or even his quills. But nah, Hawkman's all about getting in your face and beating you ugly. Now, while Angel could avoid that, I don't think that he will. More than that, I do believe that he'll be able to avoid the individual shots that Hawkman is swinging at him. So he'll be able to move and fly behind and do all sorts of aerial maneuvers that Hawkman will see and he'll be envious of, and he'll think, wow, to battle a guy like this, I really do need to improve my aerial flight capabilities. But he's not going to be able to do that on the spur. He's not Taskmaster. He doesn't have the ability to learn that quickly, only to remember the things that he has learned under normal pretexts. But for the most part, even with his combat suit and his metal wings, Angel's only going to be able to stand but so much buffeting, and when push comes to shove, I do believe that Hawkman's superior strength and superior hand-to-hand combat skills is going to come into play. Now, while theoretically Angel could throw an essentially unlimited amount of these feathers, I just don't see that as being very plausible because, no, they are going to be fairly limited. Almost exhaustive, but limited. And more than that, they're not going to be very effective. On top of that, I just don't think that Angel really has anything besides that to fight at a distance, while Hawkman could. He could easily pull out a crossbow or a pistol. He has been known to keep these things on his person. He's got weapons, like I said, all over him. He could just launch a spear at him. He could throw his own quills. He's been very competent in throwing his own sword and hitting people. Bullseye! So it is going to have to come down to melee, and unfortunately that is Hawkman's realm. When the end comes, I do believe that it will be Hawkman standing firm. I don't think he's going to kill Angel, and even if he did, I'm pretty sure the Angel would come back. But, you know, they both have their Berserker Rage, and they're both more than happy to fall into that Berserker Rage. Probably Hawkman a lot sooner, but either way, I do believe that Hawkman's going to come out on top on this. It's just in his nature to not stop until he's dead. And yeah, it's not that easy to kill Hawkman. Pretty ironic that I'm saying that. Meanwhile, I just got finished reviewing Death of Hawkman #1 in a 6-issue miniseries. But the point is, it is still hard to kill Hawkman. And guys, that's my versus battle part dos. So I hope you enjoyed it. Comments below. Guys, class dismissed.